It's not yet up there with the likes of Milan or Paris or New York, but there's been a recent push to boost Perth's fashion image. Behind the scenes, a handful of Perth designers are working long hours for little or no pay to try and make a name for themselves in the hugely competitive world of high fashion. And now they've caught the eye of some of the world's top fashion houses. Charlotte Hamlin reports.
Welcome to Central Bay.
Don't be blinded by the bright lights of Perth's fashion scene. This is where the glamour ends and the hard work begins.
It's been a roller coaster. It's a tough industry, everyone says it, and it is.
27-year-old Angela Langton only started designing 18 months ago.
I jumped headfirst in, to be honest. Some people might think that's a bit of a silly way to go about it, but I was ready and I just went with it.
Since then, she's pieced together her luxury evening wear label, Ange Lang.
My nonna was a dressmaker in Italy for 30 years, and I was around it with her, and she always had these amazing fabrics, and it just smelled like mothballs, but that just reminds me of my nonna. And yeah, I think it's always been a part of my life.
Her gowns are stocked in stores in Perth and over east, but she's about to take her career to whole new heights. In 3 weeks, she's off to New York to start a traineeship, having been handpicked by international fashion house Balenciaga.
I'm not there to design, I'm there to learn the business and take what I can and apply it to my own label. So, I mean, they're in that luxury end of the market, which is where I want to be. So if I can learn from something like that, that's just an incredible opportunity, and I'm just going to absorb as much as I can.
Fashion writer Pip Christmas says Perth's fashion scene is more vibrant now than it's ever been, and emerging local designers are making their mark locally, nationally and internationally.
We're actually doing really well, and I think we punch above our weight.
She says in the past, living in Perth has served as a big restriction for young designers trying to break into markets beyond WA. But she says lately, with the increasing focus on the Asian fashion market and the ease of communicating via the internet, that's started to change.
So much of what goes on in the fashion industry is done online. It's a more globalised world, so you can get your work out there and seen in the international community, but there is still that sense of isolation. And there's not necessarily that sense now that you have to drain off into Melbourne and Sydney. You can still base yourself here because things are starting to get a little bit more exciting in Perth.
Curtin University graduate Jeremy Lim is one designer who's succumbed to the bigger and more diverse fashion markets of the eastern states.
I guess I needed to reach over east as fast as I could. So it's not to say I'm trying to abandon Perth, because I don't think I would ever abandon Perth, but in terms of being over east and having a farther reach for the market, I suppose, and giving myself a better chance of survival within the market.
He moved to Sydney 3 months ago to start an internship with one of Australia's most prominent contemporary fashion designers, Akira Isogawa, and has since been trying to establish his own label in the East.
I just had to start all over again, and I suppose being in the industry here in Perth for the past 5-6 years, I've kind of established contacts and networks, but going to Sydney, I kind of feel like I don't know anyone. So it's just getting out there, a lot of sort of cold calling, I suppose, and just networking.
Jeremy also has his sights set on the international fashion market. He's waiting to hear whether his application to train with luxury label Salvatore Ferragamo in Milan has been successful. Pip Christmas says many Perth-based designers are struggling to get their labels off the ground purely because it's such an expensive endeavour. But she says to secure a place with a high-profile fashion house is a huge deal for any young designer.
I think a lot of young designers come out of graduate school or whatever, and they are looking through rose-tinted glasses a little bit. And I think to work in an atelier or a studio, you'll see the real nuts and bolts of how a label works, not just the glamorous stuff, but but the hard work that goes on behind the scenes.
One business that's beaten the odds and is now having great success nationally and overseas is Perth label Flannel, run by head designer Christy Lawrence and her sister Brooke Anderson.
She won the New Generation Award at Australian Fashion Week a couple of years ago, and on the strength of that she was picked up by David Jones nationally, and now she's producing 2 full fashion collections a year. I think she has stockists in America. That's just gone gangbusters. She's one of the real success stories actually of the WA fashion industry.
With 3 stores in Perth, 1 in Sydney, and now branching out into overseas markets, co-owner Brooke Anderson says the sky's the limit for the family-owned business.
Fantastic, and it's still growing now. We are stocked in America, we're stocked in London, we're even stocked in Texas, Dubai. So it's becoming a very well-known label. Not only are we sourcing places overseas, we have people targeting us to come to them. So that has been massive for us. And really, it's just to keep expanding, keep growing, and keep enjoying what we do.
All agree that while Perth's isolation has made it more difficult, they wouldn't have wanted to start their businesses anywhere else.
Geographically, it's a challenge, but I think at first there's a really nice supportive bubble here in Perth, and people really rally behind you here. And I don't know if it's the same in other states in Australia or other parts of the world, but I think we are lucky to have that here.
When I first started, I thought it would be quite a difficult industry to crack, and I suppose it is, but at the same time there's a lot of support and there's a lot of mentorships and a lot of opportunities.